I think SD cards are a minefield, and it's even been a minefield to create this video to tell you about how much of a minefield the whole thing is. So I've split it into two videos. Now, I'm not going to pretend that this is going to be the most exciting video you've ever seen, but I think most of it's important. The video's far too long as it is, so let's just crack on. Types of SD cards, go! Okay, first up, different types of SD cards are HC just means high capacity. It's not that high capacity, but at the time it was. These cards are used for if you want up to 32 gig. You cannot get a 64 gig version of these. It simply doesn't happen. The thing worth considering with these is, I mean, most cameras these days will probably use them, but something like the GH5 or higher end cameras, they will require SDXC. Those are the next cards we're going to take a look at. But before we do, these ones come in various different speed classes. This one's a class 4, this one's a class 10. We're going to get onto that in a little bit. That is SDHC, high capacity. Not that high capacity by today's standards. Next up, SDXC. Because if high capacity wasn't enough, extra capacity is what you're after. These go all the way up to 2 terabytes. And that's only today. It's possible that they can go higher than that, but well, we'll see. We won't worry ourselves about such things. These are the most common types of cards on the market today. They look the same as the old SD cards and the SDHC cards. The contacts on the back are exactly the same as well. That's those. Then, UHS cards. So, ultra high speed cards. And in fact, some of them that we've already looked at are ultra high speed cards. So let's put the SanDisk back there, the Computer Bay one, and now I'm going to add to the party this one. These are ultra high speed cards, though they're not the same. Yes, I realise it's confusing. You won't quite see, or you may do. These are U with a 3 in there. That means they have a minimum write speed of 30 megabytes per second. We've tested that, and yeah, that does work. However, this one also has a minimum speed writing of 30 megabytes a second. But it's a totally different card. This one says 95 megabits, as this one, 95 megabytes per second, as does this one. This one says 150. So what does it mean? Well, there's now ultra high speed 2. So let's just do that. So these two are ultra high speed 1 cards. They work in more or less everything that's on the market, or certainly up to date. And as shown previously, they look the same as SD cards always have. This one is an ultra high speed card 2. Looks exactly the same from the front, but on the back we can see there are a second row of contacts. Worry not if you've picked this card up by accident. All SD cards are backwards compatible, which is to say this will work in a camera that takes this. They're not upwards compatible. That's not the way these things work. The UHS 1 cards have a maximum write speed. So these ones, although they say 95 megabits, they don't actually get that close to that. The maximum write speed is 104 megabytes per second. If you're not bored yet, you soon will be. The UHS 2 cards have a maximum write speed of 312 megabytes per second. Those aren't sustained speeds though. In short, all of the different logos that they add onto these SD cards now, and there are a whole bunch of them. Let's just put all of these there. They all mean something in time. At times they contradict each other, and the one that most of us look out for is this one, 95 megabytes per second, 80 megabytes per second, or 150 megabytes per second. Those are, well, in reality, they're marketing terms. We've seen from the speed tests previously that they're not that accurate, and in most cases these figures show what the manufacturers are suggesting is the read speed, not the write speed, so that doesn't really help you anyway. It used to be that class 4, class 10, and they all mean different things, and they do. Class 10 means minimum of 10 megabytes per second. However, at this level, that simply doesn't matter. So, we can actually cross off the 10 megabytes per second off all of these cards, because if we're using these cards, we're certainly going to be wanting more than that out of them. The GH5 that this is being filmed on now, well, that needs more than that. The 3, which is a 30 meg, the U and the 3 little logo there, which means 30 megabits per second. Well, that may be useful, but again, we're hoping for more than that, because at times, particularly with the new firmware upgrade on this particular camera, we'll need to go higher than that. So we'll assume that this is all a given right now. The SDXC as well, well, all of these cards, bar those ones, are higher than 32 gigabytes, so we can lose all that. This stuff is not important to us. Where am I looking? Doesn't it? Oh, there it is. So we go back to now the sort of trust. Which manufacturers do we trust? Which ones have we got more affinity with to give us an accurate reading for the speeds that are being described? And the only other change being the UHS-2 and the UHS-1. Now, many cameras will be coming out that require UHS-2 cards. However, generally speaking, and it's the same as far as my test has shown thus far in this camera, the GH5, that the camera can just use either. It could be the case that we're not at the time where we've fully unlocked this second row of chips or contacts. But we'll see. And I will do some further testing, because the Ursa Mini Pro, which we currently are testing, which is just over there, that also says it requires these. So we're going to try these in there as well and see. So long story short, with SD cards, have a look at the Amazon reviews. That seems to be the best way around it. If you hear about things being unreliable, like these Computer Bay ones, they were rubbish. We had a few of these to start with. That's the last surviving one. SanDisk are expensive, but you can't go wrong. Lexar are also pretty good, but performance-wise, that's not delivering as good a performance as it claims compared to the SanDisk. So it's a bit of a minefield. The earlier question of are you being conned, well, you can make it up for yourself, but what you can know is that most of the information displayed on the front of an SD card is really there to baffle you these days. So that's the first part of this video done, and if you found any of that interesting, or if you've got any other questions, by all means do let me know. We've got a massive SD card, so we can test them and put them through the ringer and whatever else you want to know about them. Hopefully you stayed around this long. If you did, please subscribe, share, like, and all the rest of it. And the next video will be, well, put it on the screen somewhere, but do check that one out as well. That's a real world test of the actual SD cards that we've got and how they are physically performing.